Home sellers, one of the most important pieces of the marketing puzzle is photography. Now, I've sold over 2,500 homes, roughly 50 times more than the average realtor does in an entire career, but a photographer I am not. So I went and found one. Today, you're going to hear from the owner of Martin Photography, Lukas Martin, where we'll talk about the goal of real estate photos, what the pros do and how they do it, and even some advice about how to make your photos better. So stick around. We'll show you how to get the most bang for your buck with your real estate photos, and we'll even throw in some free downloadable checklists. All right, let's go. Welcome to Talking Realty, the go-to podcast for home sellers who want to make more money, save time, and avoid headaches. I'm Glen, founder of the Ohio Property Group, where we do the same things as traditional realtors, but instead of charging a big fat 6% commission, we charge a low flat fee. So you keep more money and you still get better results. Check out all the free seller tools at talkingrealty.com. And if you like the show, hit that subscribe button. Now, let's get to it. Today on the podcast, we have a special guest. Lukas and I crossed paths maybe about a year ago. And what impressed me right away was his business approach. Now, a lot of artists who decide to go pro, like Lukas did with his photography skills, they get so caught up in the art that they forget that it's a business. Well, that didn't happen with Lukas. As you'll see, he takes his craft every bit as seriously as he takes his business, but seems to have fun while he's doing it. Today, Lukas comes to us during a visit to Hawaii, which explains my shirt if you're watching this on YouTube. Stick around because not only is he going to help you take better photos, but he's going to give you a photo checklist to help you handle things like a pro. I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I did with Lukas Martin, photographer extraordinaire.
All right, Lukas, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Glenn. How are you?
I'm doing
Thanks for
well,
having
thanks. Yeah, no, it's my pleasure. I appreciate you making time. I don't know if you noticed, but I did go appropriate with my shirt today since you are coming to us from where?
me. Honolulu, Hawaii.
Honolulu, Hawaii. So you're in Hawaii and I'm in the Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah.
How come you're
Something's
how
wrong.
come in the Hawaiian shirt? I don't understand. I thought you had to wear one when you went there. Not true?
No, I don't have one.
No. You don't, we may have to remedy that. So my wife says I have a bit of a shirt problem. Well, anyway, so Lukas, you are from Martin Photography, aptly named since your last name is Martin. So
Yes.
we're going to obviously talk about real estate photography and photography in general today. But before we do, I really like to know, because I know a little bit about you, but probably not everything. And our listeners certainly, and viewers on YouTube certainly don't know everything about you. So I'll tell you what, why don't you tell me, how did you kind of wind up where you are and getting into real estate and photography and so forth, and start wherever you like.
Of course. So I was a freshman in high school in Cleveland, Ohio, high school called Menor High. And I had an uncle reach out to me who was a realtor at the time, and he needed photography for a commercial property. And he knew I recently got a drone, so he knew I could do some drone stuff for him. So he reached out and we set something up. But before that, I had to get it's called a Part 107 license. In order to make money off your drone, you need that license. So I got that. And then I did the property for him. It was a lot of fun. Made some good money off of it. It was like $300 at the time off of like a video and aerial photos with the drone. I was like, hey, this is pretty cool. I saw all my other friends there working on cars at like a car dealership or McDonald's or a grocery store as a cashier. So this was a lot more fun. You could create your own schedule. You just got to build your own clients. So I did that and then grew that pretty large. And then senior year came around and I wanted to study aviation. So I decided I was going to go down to Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University in Daytona Beach, Florida. And then I kind of grew my company down there. We purchased one of our largest competitors up in Cleveland last May. So we did that, and we're just continue to keep on growing and kind of just taking over the market, both in Florida and Daytona, Cleveland, Ohio.
Well, that is certainly a wild ride. So you started doing this in high school.
Correct. Yeah. So 6 years
Holy
now.
cow. Yeah. Man, that's pretty impressive. I mean, it's funny, you always hear
Yes.
entrepreneurs talk about how, they had like the 3 location lemonade stand growing up and stuff like that with, but you really did it. You took off in high
Yeah.
school, and yeah, your uncle kind of opened the door for you, but you were ready. Clearly,
Right.
had you been fiddling around with photography prior to this, hopefully?
Yeah. So I had an uncle and a cousin as well, a different uncle, who were really big into photography. And every family event we went to, always brought his camera. So like every time I saw him, I would have take his camera, be taking pictures, getting to really know how the camera works. And then oddly enough, our family got a camera because we'd always be going on vacations. So that kind of became my camera to kind of test and use. And then finally, once knew I wanted to do real estate and obviously past the drone stuff, I actually bought a camera for real estate and did all of that.
Still got the first one?
Yes.
Still got the first camera?
I still have it. I haven't used it in years, but it's somewhere in my room.
It's going to go in the Martin Photography Empire Museum, which you will no doubt have someday.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
9 generations from now, they'll be like,
Yeah.
this is the first camera Lukas used.
Right. Put it on a shelf or something.
Right. Well, thank you for that. We're going to circle back on that part 107 thing in a little bit. I made a note about that. And then also, really just the fact that, a few years out of high school, you're out merging and acquisitioning with your competitors. Is that something you want to talk about? Like, how did that happen and sort of what evolved into you launching yourself like that?
Yeah, I could briefly talk about it. It wasn't really on my part anyway. It was just this company. Obviously, you get to know your competitors and you're friendly with them. And a lot of our competitors were talking back and forth, and if we can't do it, like if someone comes to us and we can't do a shoot if it's too far away, I send some of our clients to them for like a shoot just because we're friendly with them, and we'll a drone shoot, and they'll send clients to us here and there. So, and this company reached out, and they're originally from Buffalo. They had a location in Buffalo, and then they opened a location in Cleveland, and they realized they were doing too much, and they didn't have enough time to do everything in Cleveland. So they kind of wanted to get out of the market. So they reached out to me. So it wasn't even like, hey, I want to buy you guys. It was, we're looking to sell. Would you have any interest in taking us over? And that's kind of how it happened. And within a few months, I don't know, settled on a number, and that happened.
So my image of you with the world map and you're just like slowly filling in pieces like a risk board, that's not what's happening here.
No,
Okay.
not yet. Not yet. It wasn't really planned. It just kind of came out of the blue, and it was they really just did not want to be in the Cleveland market anymore.
Sure. Yeah, and that's a few hours away, so I mean I can see
Yeah.
why that would be kind of a pain. It looks good on paper, but anyway. Okay, well, so let's fast forward. You're into real estate photography now, and what would you say? I mean, look, we like to ask why we do things, and our audience is primarily home sellers, like people who are actually, they got the most skin in the game of anybody. And
Right.
maybe they are wondering, I can promise you, some are wondering, why should I bother with decent photography? And then I have others that completely at the other end of the spectrum who are kind of like super obsessive about the photography. And they'll send me like hundreds of photos. And so we'll get into kind of the sweet spot on the number and so forth. But just in general, from 30,000 feet, what is the point of the real estate photography from your perspective?
I think you need to be somewhere in the middle. So obviously you don't need 150 photos on a listing, but also I think professional photos are necessary. I think the photos aren't going to sell the house, but they get people inside the door to let you show off the house. And especially video is a good for social media and posting it on Facebook and Instagram and all those. I know a lot of sellers they have those Facebook pages that you can post your FSBO and all of that. And then they have like virtual tours, like the 3D Matterport. That's not really that was big during COVID because people really couldn't see the house, but now that's really kind of declined, and we don't really see, like, we might do one or two a month. We really don't do those anymore. But I think just having quality photos that really show the key spaces, like the living room, dining room, kitchen,
Yeah.
master bedroom, bathroom.
Okay. I think as you said, I mean, I would definitely echo that sentiment that you're not going to sell the house with your amazing photos. I mean, can count on one hand, probably two fingers, the number of times in 25 years of doing this that I've had somebody just call me up without ever seeing the house and offer me money. It does happen, but those were extreme circumstances. But anyhow, the point of photography from where we sit as well is just to attract people. We want to get people off the couch, get them from going from online to offline. Let's get them live in color right there at the home and let the home do the rest. So just a little bit of housekeeping. What areas do you cover for your photography company then?
course, yeah. So we mainly cover the Cleveland, Ohio market. So it spans down to like the Akron, Canton area. We go as far as Ashtabula, Youngstown, and like probably Elyria. We can go out to Toledo and Bowling Green area as well. And then in Florida, I'm based in Daytona Beach. I'm the only one in Florida market. So I'm based in Daytona. I can drive out to Orlando. North, you have Palm Coast, Jacksonville, and then south, you have Melbourne and like the Space Coast area. So we have like five photographers up in Cleveland, and then it's just me in Florida.
Okay. So you're covering a pretty good chunk of real estate then. Moving forward, we're talking about the point of real estate being getting more showings. So if the point is to get people off the couch, then does the quality matter? I suspect it does, but what's your take on sort of high quality versus low quality? Do you see an impact, a real impact there?
I think I think it needs to be high quality, but as well, you shouldn't be hiding things in the pictures. If you know something is in bad condition, obviously just show it in the pictures. Try not to edit it out or however you can do it yourself or cover it up with something. I know there's clients that come to us and they don't like the way the tile looks in the picture and they want us to kind of change the color. There was this one client we had and it was like this bright pink and they wanted to change it to like a darker beige and you can't really do that because when the people walk into the house, they're going to be like, well, it doesn't look like this photo. And or like
Yeah.
other ones are like cracks in the driveway and then there's some I understand like they're getting it fixed, but you just want to be mindful that you're not hiding stuff that
Yeah,
can
we'll
misrepresent
touch
the
on
house.
editing in a little bit. So
Right.
I agree that you should put it in its best light because in a very real way, as one photographer told me years ago, the photos that people see online are almost always considered like a first showing. And picture a buyer doom scrolling down, and they've got hundreds of results. So they have to have some way of narrowing it down to just the handful that they will dig into. And a great front photo is certainly, I think, to mirror your thought, is extremely important because a bad
Right.
front photo means probably not even going to get
Won't
any
even click
further.
on it.
No, we're
Right.
just going to
Right.
scroll right past it. But do you believe in any way that great photography could impact the price at all, like what the seller gets?
Yeah, I think I know last year we were talking to a lot of our realtors that we work with, and I think it just creates a lot more competitiveness on that listing because you're drawing a lot more people into like I saw a lot of agents where they're starting to get the virtual twilight photos now because that really attracts the on the MLS on whatever website it really pops out on there because a lot of agents are just using standard real estate photography now, so they kind of all look the same with the blue sky. So if you can do something extra where it stands out on the listing when clients are scrolling on their phone to
Well,
get
two
them to click on it.
things, two things I want to double click on. One is the more buyers, and the other is the twilight. So can you just for the uninitiated, I know what you're talking about, and they are freaking gorgeous. Can you tell
Right.
me, like in one or two layperson sentences, what that is?
Right. So the twilight, we do two different options. We have a virtual twilight that's all done with Photoshop. So it's like your standard real estate shoot. You'll take the photo in the daytime and then we bring it into Photoshop and put a twilight background and we can edit out or we can edit all the lights on in the windows and different light fixtures and all of that. Or we can actually do a separate appointment where we come out actually when it's twilight if the house has really good like light features with like a pool and lights in the pool and all of that. So there's two different
A
options.
nighttime photo is what
Yeah.
us lay people would call
Yes.
it. So you
Yeah.
see the
Right as
front
the
of the
sun's
photo,
going
like the
down.
first one is the daytime, and then presumably one of the next few photos is going to be this twilight photo where you can see what it looks like at night. And
Correct.
I have to say they're very stunning when you see them. But you're saying you can do them artificially. You don't necessarily have to run
Yes.
back out there at night. You can do them
Right.
in the lab. Super cool.
Right. And
The other thing, go ahead.
it's half the price as well. So that's why a lot of agents like it.
Yeah. It's what's half the price. Oh, versus going
Uh,
out. Oh
right.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
To do it in the lab. The other thing I wanted to go back to was what you said about more buyers. We have a whole series of office truths, and truth number six is more buyers equals more money. So does good photography matter? If it's bringing you more potential buyers, then that is going to drive presumably more showings, more offers, And when you have all those things in place, just like at an auction, when you got more buyers there, you're going to sell for more, or at least at the top of
Yes.
market value, versus your crappy photo that half the people that probably would be good buyers just scroll right past. Cool.
Yep.
So you've no doubt spent some time looking at real estate photography that you didn't take. What are the sort of the biggie super mistakes that you see? Is there any that just drive you nuts?
So I can tell right away when an agent or someone their friend is taking the photo compared
Hey
to a
now.
professional. I think just you can tell when it's done with an iPhone and they're shooting up and their pictures in the mirror as well, their reflection
Mhm.
in like the bathroom mirror. And the photo's just really grainy and you can tell that it's not edited. Like we like to shoot everything like level. So you're not tilting up or tilting down on the whatever the subject is. Obviously there's some times where the houses are really high up in some neighborhoods where the houses are really close together where you really got to shoot high up. But most of the time you can shoot pretty level. So I think that's the number one thing is just shooting level and straight on to the subject.
So weird angles. And then did you say
Yes.
the photographer's in the photo? Like the reflection on
Yeah.
the window or the
Yeah.
mirror or something
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah. The
Yeah.
glass.
Kind of a rookie mistake there. Is that what you're
Yes.
maybe
Yeah.
hinting at?
Yes.
Hey, real quick, before we dive much further into this episode, I wanted to tell you about something that we put together for home sellers just like you. We call it the Ultimate Home Selling Toolkit, and I actually reference it throughout the show. It's the exact set of checklists, contracts, and guides we use with our own clients, including our sales contracts, counteroffer forms, post-inspection forms, checklists for prep and for offers, all the way through closing. It's 100% free, and it walks you through from first thought through moving day. You can download it now at talkingrealty.com or just look in the show notes for a link. All right, back to the podcast.
What about clutter? Because clutter is like the bane of my existence. When I look at photos and they didn't bother to clean off the counter, they didn't bother to clear off the desk before they shot it, or the yard is just it's like a random bike
Right.
laying there and a ball, and like I
Right.
get reality and all that, but like, is it worth the calories for people to maybe tidy a few things up before they put it on the interwebs for the entire world to see? Maybe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I know when we go out to shoot, we try to clean up as much as we can before we start shooting. Obviously, there's times where the house is a complete disaster, and we usually allow like an hour 15 at every house. So obviously, we don't have time to. We're not a cleaning service, so we don't have time to clean your house before we come and shoot it. So it's just basic like general tidying up, moving the pillows, blankets, all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think there was one agent that we work with still now, and we've worked with him for the last 5 years, and he always says less is more. So just having less crap all over your house, just put it in a closet and I think something that is really true is you don't realize how much crap you have until you have to move and try to get ready for photos and you have no idea where to put all this stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, when we have you, I know you have a checklist, and we're going to get to that here in a little bit,
Yeah.
and we're going to make it available for people to download if they want it. It's like a prep checklist. We have something very similar that we'll link to those things in the show notes so everybody can get them. But part of our photo checklist and is actually right before the photo checklist is the staging checklist, where we walk people through some of the basics of how to make the house look its best without being disingenuous, but actually really how to make this particular house look its absolute best.
Right.
Accentuate the positive, maybe de-accentuate or avoid some of the negative things. We still want
Right.
people out there. We know they're going to see it eventually, but I don't need a picture of the closet next to your furnace that has nothing in it. Like, I don't need all that
Right.
stuff. But if I'm going to come out there, one of the things we've noticed is that if the counter is cluttered, it looks smaller. If the counter is clear of everything except maybe a flower vase or a toaster or something, it looks bigger. Same with closets, same with anything in the whole house. Is to make it look big, you could still make it look homey with, like you said, a few pillows here and there and a few, touches. But yeah, if you've got bins of stuff everywhere and it's just going to look tiny and cluttered, and frankly, the mind doesn't like what it sees. We're going to turn people off. So some of the photography is before the photography. You mean you won't come out and clean my house for what I'm going to pay you to shoot the pictures? Are you kidding me? You won't? No.
Yeah.
What if I baked cookies? Then would you clean it first?
Possibly.
Awesome. That's all the cookie. How good is the cookie? Okay. One of the things we touched on a few minutes ago that I promised we'd come back to is the number of photos. Do you have like a rule of thumb when it comes to how many photos? I know the MLSs all have certain limits in Ohio, and we belong to all of them. So it ranges anywhere from, I think the smallest one is 36. And then we've got the others that go all the way up to 99 photos. Nobody in Ohio that I am aware of allows more than 99 photos, which I wish they'd lower that number. But anyway,
Right.
is there a sweet spot in there? I know it probably depends on a few things, but can you talk about those things?
Yeah, so we don't really have a minimum or a maximum photos we'll shoot per house per se, but I think it depends on the size of the house. So, like a couple weeks ago, we did a 10,000 square foot house in Richfield, Ohio. It was massive. I think we delivered 250 photos just because there were so many rooms and everything, and aerial photos and all of that. But obviously, you're not going to use all of those photos. So we like to over deliver, and then the agent gets to choose which ones he wants to put on there. I think he ended up only putting 50 photos on the listing. And then like there's some houses that are, we did a house last week that was 800 square feet. And I think maybe we did 20 photos for that. So basically just depends on the side of the house. We try to show the space as best as possible. So like living rooms, we try to do 2 to 3 photos, dining room, same thing, master bedroom, same thing. The the more like general areas like bathrooms, you really only need one photo. Some of those smaller bedrooms only need one photo. So that's basically it. And then just basements, some bigger spaces, kind of just get 2, 3 different angles. And
And we
then
need 50 pictures of the kitchen, right? Isn't that important?
no, no. So we like to do, I think probably 4 or 5. Just, and like I said, just take more than we need, and then whatever we don't use, great.
So really anywhere in that sort of 20 to 50 range, depending on the type of house, how many weird rooms they have. Like if they have a theater room, obviously, you're going to get a couple of shots of the theater seats and the screen and things
Right,
like that. Or if they have a pool or don't have a pool, that's going to change that number. But there is
right,
no real standard. But if I've got a three
right.
bedroom, two bath ranch with no basement, I don't need 50 photos, is what I'm hearing.
Right. Right. I
Probably
bet
not.
like 30, 35 photos,
You're
somewhere around
killing
there.
me. You're killing me here. Anyway, so one of the big questions, and I should couch this, and we have a phrase we use a lot here called never ask a hungry barber if you need a haircut, but I'm going to do it anyway because you don't strike me as a hungry barber. You strike me as a busy photographer. Are you of the mind that literally everybody should hire a pro, or is there a case maybe where a DR who does their homework and has decent equipment can pull this off?
Yeah, I think the second option. So if you know what you're doing and you have like you don't even the iPhone cameras are so good now. I think half the cost of buying the phone is literally the camera. And especially they have the wide angle lens on it now. So if you just know the right angles and shots and how to do it and just basic editing, I think you can do it yourself with, I call it YouTube University. Just watching just tons of YouTube videos on, and I'm sure there's videos you can go online and just look up like how to shoot real estate with your iPhone, something like that.
Mhm. I'm sure
Um,
you're right.
so I think if you have the knowledge, and I think the biggest thing is time. That's why a lot of agents hire us, just because they don't have the time to shoot photos and they just want it done. So I think, yeah, just having just learning how to do it is the biggest time cruncher.
But if I've got, say, a Michael Jordan mansion or Lady Gaga's summer home and I'm selling it, maybe Lady Gaga doesn't want to take a run at this. Maybe she should hire somebody.
Of
I would
course.
think, just the math problem is, if I've got a property that's, I don't know, half a million, $1 million, $2 million, it probably doesn't make sense to step over dollars to pick up pennies, as my dad used to say. And
Correct.
and you're going to pay. Well, let's talk about that. What does it usually run to the public to hire somebody to come out and do this? Is there like a ballpark range?
Yeah, so our average order value right now is around 250, but just to have standard photos, it's 165. But obviously, the agents get those different add-ons with videos and the virtual twilights and all of that. But if you just want standard photos, it's 165 bucks, which I
Mhm.
think is a lot better than agents lowering the listing price by 5 grand to try to sell it. trying
Really
to do their own
not
photos.
not too burdensome. And at the top end,
Right.
like if I got all the bells and whistles from you, and I realize this is as of this particular recording. So as of 2025, if I wanted all the bells and whistles, which would be your virtual tour, your drone photography, a bunch of editing, is there a top end or is there no top end range? Like it's unlimited.
Yeah, like we have a really top end. I think it's like six or 700. Not many people go for it, but like the one right beneath it, I think it's like 400 or 500 bucks. And that
Hmm.
gets you like your photos, your aerial photos. You get a vertical video walkthrough that you can. So those are best for like the Instagram and Facebook like reels. Then you get a cinematic horizontal video for like YouTube. I think you can post those to the MLS, and then you get the virtual twilights.
You can, as long as it is unbranded.
Yeah,
So,
unbranded. Okay.
yeah, because a lot of
Yes.
realtors will put their brand all over it and put it on their personal website. They can do that. But in
Right.
the MLS, it must not have any branding, no phone numbers, no web addresses, no QR codes, none of that stuff. Just supposed to be
Right.
a video tour of the house. End of story.
Right.
Um,
So when we deliver our videos, we send the client a branded and unbranded version
Perfect.
for them to use.
Perfect. As far as, the DIYers tackling this themselves, is there any equipment besides a, $1,400 iPhone? I don't know how much they cost now. I just pulled that number out of thin air. But anyway, is there other stuff that would kind of help their case if they wanted to do this or tackle it? Or maybe they can't find a good photographer in their area or something like that.
Yeah, I think a basic drone or obviously a drone, yes, we can come back to that, but a tripod off of Amazon. I
Oh,
know
okay.
there's some really cheap ones on Amazon, maybe for 30 bucks. The ones we use are a couple hundred. So no reason to get something like that you're going to use once to sell your house. But I think you can get one for on Amazon for 30, 40 bucks. You put your phone on there just to get level shots.
How
You're not
high?
half
Like
crooked.
maybe five feet off the ground, maybe?
Yeah, like 5 feet. We like to do like
Okay.
chest level
That's high.
something. And then going back to the drone, you can get cheap ones for 400, like mini kind of drones. You do need to register them and make sure you have once again that part 107. So there is a test if you're
Let's talk
looking to
about
make
that.
money off of it.
Let's talk
Okay.
about that. What is a Part 107? And what happens how do you get it? And what happens if you don't get it?
Okay. So it is a license through the FAA that basically says I'm qualified to fly this. I know all the airspace and all the rules, and I'm able to fly this and I can make money off my drone. If you don't have it, you get enormous fines from the FAA. So they say. I know this one company in Cleveland, they did get fined $100,000. They did have the license, but they broke some rules. It's called a temporary flight restriction. So they flew into airspace that they weren't allowed to. So I think their business shut down because I don't think they could afford that hundred
Did
thousand bill or whatever.
did they get swallowed up by the Lucas Martin empire? Is that what
They
happened?
did not. They did not. I don't know what happened to them.
So
Yeah,
so to get this thing, you have to like pass a test or what do you have to
yeah,
do?
yeah. So it's basically just you go to a FAA testing center and it's about I think it's 50 or 100 questions. You have to get a 75 on it, and it's just basic like airspace and I call it common sense rules. Just don't fly while you're drinking. Don't fly over crowds of people.
Well, so no fun is what you're saying. It's fine.
Yeah,
No
don't fly
problem.
into commercial airports and all of that kind of stuff. So
Gotcha.
I haven't taken the test in a while, but as I remember, it wasn't that difficult. It just takes time. You have to study.
I was going to say, you probably had to kind of brush up on some of this stuff ahead of time.
Yeah,
The real
yeah.
estate exam is only 145 questions, so you're not far
Okay,
off from that.
right.
But anyway, okay, so you get it. You have to pay every year for it or anything?
No, you pay that one test fee. It might have been 175 bucks, something like that, and then
Not
and
kidding
then
around.
it's just right. And then just every 2 years, you just have to do like recurrent training, but it doesn't cost anything. It's like an online course, just
Okay.
updating on their new rules and anything like that.
This episode of Talking Realty is brought to you by our friends at Associates Title. This team is shaking things up by focusing on what truly matters, putting the customer first. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing for sale by owner or working with a realtor, they've got your back with incredible cost savings and the latest technology to streamline the process. Their secure online portal keeps everyone in the loop, from buyers to sellers to lenders and agents, all while keeping your data safe and communication crystal clear. If you're getting ready to make a move, don't underestimate the importance of having a great title company in your corner. Check them out today at associatestitleinc.com or call my friend Ryan Phillips at 614-419-2418. Check the show notes for that contact information, but don't leave your title company choice to chance. And definitely don't let the buyer or their agent make that choice for you. All right, back to the show.
But if I'm shooting this for my own house, I mean, I'm not charging myself anything to shoot this. I'm just shooting it for my own house, and then I'm going to put it on Facebook or something like that. Do I still need to look into this thing?
You do, right. So anything that you're going to make money off of. So even if you're selling your own house, you're making money off of that. So a big thing when the Part 107 came out was people were posting videos on YouTube of them with their drone, and then they were making money from YouTube off of the ads and stuff like that, and they didn't realize, and they started getting all these fines for I think it's like $1,100 right now per instance per rule that you break for the Part 107. And then they say,
Fast.
and then they say the realtor gets fined $11,000 if you hire someone. I don't know if it's true or who knows. I'm sure you can negotiate a lower price or something. Yeah, so I guess I just don't want to mess around with it. So all of our
No.
photographers get it right
No,
away. And
we believe in the same thing. I mean, it's like speeding. If you don't get caught, technically, it's still illegal, but if, you only pay for it if you get caught. And we feel the same way about all the rules and regulations. I mean, our company here at the Ohio Property Group, we're different. We're a different type of company. So we are naturally a magnet for being looked at. So in our case,
right,
we just feel it's better to figure out a system so that you're not ever even close to the line, much less over it. But it does. It helps you sleep at night. You don't have to worry that, 2 years from now, somebody's going to come and take everything that you worked hard for just because you sort of missed this memo. But now we have the memo out there, and it's called, once again, what's it called?
that's the FAA Part 107.
FAA. I'll see if I can link to it in the show notes so that those who are listening, who are interested, can learn more about it. Okay. So enough of that. We touched on editing. Are there other things besides not turning your house into something that it isn't? Are there sort of standard things that you do to these photos when you get them back to the lab?
So our editors, we get them back, we'll edit them. We do the blue sky replacement in Photoshop. So every sky will kind of look like what's behind me right now, just more blue. It's best if we shoot the houses on a cloudy day, but obviously we can't really choose that. It just kind of goes as it happens. So cloudy day is best because there won't be any shadows on either side of the house. They'll all be the same. So we do that. What else do we do? We'll do fireplaces. So like if you have like an outdoor fireplace, we can add a flame inside the fireplace. We can also do on an interior fireplace. We do the flame on that. On the TV screens, we'll put a picture. We actually have an aerial picture of downtown Cleveland that we put on the TV screens. So it's better than just like a black image, black TV screen
Or
that's off.
God forbid, the game, because that's what we
Right,
see a lot of those come in, and they'll just take a picture. It'll be right in the middle of a basketball game or something.
right.
Like,
Yeah,
turn that thing off.
right.
Off is better than on, and off with an overlaid photo of the city of Cleveland is better than anything. So gotcha.
Yes. Yeah, and then there's just some like there's might be some things like we'll clean up, like there might be a hose laying on the ground. We can edit that out, or the client might ask, there's some wires on the side of the floor. We can clean that up. But other than that, that's pretty much it.
So are there lines you won't cross in terms of editing? Because clearly you could do
Um,
whatever you wanted. You could probably, Photoshop some really cool stuff into my house and my yard. Do you guys have
right.
like stated rules about this, or is it just sort of as it
We don't
happens?
really have we don't really have rules, but obviously you can kind of use common sense and see if it's really going to change the appearance of the house, we're not going to do it just because we don't want to be in trouble if something comes up. But it's kind of just a case by case kind of thing. But most agents know anyway that they just want the basic, just make the house look presentable.
Yeah. Well, and forget getting in trouble, although certainly that's certainly part of it. But let's look at the reality. Well, let's go back to the beginning. Why are we doing this? We're trying to get a buyer to come out, fall in love with my house, and make me an offer that
Buy
I
it.
can't refuse. And that's going to be pretty difficult if they get there and the house looks absolutely nothing like what the photos show. I mean, we've essentially
Yeah.
lied to them. And don't think for a second, sellers, that lie isn't going to have a permanent impact on the relationship. So even if by some miracle they end up wanting the house and making an offer, they're never ever going to forget that you have outed yourself as a dirty liar. And that's
Yeah.
going to be very difficult as you get further in, because it look, when we're talking about photos and showings, the love is so high compared to after inspections or after a low
Yeah.
appraisal. Like the love is just at the bottom when we get to that point. And if you've started off by draining the love tank unnecessarily with your dirty lies, then we're going to have a really tough time getting to the finish line. You know, one of my regulars know about this, but when I was back in my many young years ago, I was traveling all over looking at property with buyers because I was a full-time buyer's agent for Remax, and I drove some astronomical number of miles to get to this house that was a freaking doll house. It was like the 15th house I'd showed these people. And when I saw it pop up in the MLS, I was like, oh my gosh, this could be the one. So I sent it to them. We set it up. I get out there, and some enterprising person had photoshopped out the road that was literally 2 feet from the front door. Like it was road, it was sidewalk for like just enough to walk down, and that was it. Like I wouldn't be carrying anything. And then it was road. And they photoshopped in this golf course looking lawn. And of course, as we pulled up, I mean, this was it. We didn't even go in. And I'm sure that happened. Like nowadays, we have stats on all that stuff. I would guarantee you that they had 25 showings set up and nobody went through it, or very few people went through it. So just don't, because it's not going to get you to your goal. But anyway, okay, so let's say I'm hardcore. I do not pay for these things. I've got myself an iPhone. I went to Amazon. I got myself a $30 camera, or what was it? A tripod? What about lighting? Do I need any special lighting, or can I just use what's there?
No. So we use all natural light. We don't use any flash or anything. So just open all the windows, shades, blinds, turn all the fans off because you don't want the blurry motion when you're
Right.
on the photo, when you take the photo. And yeah.
And this is all
you don't
or mostly on your checklist?
I believe so, yes.
All right, good. Well, it is. And then if you pull down our ultimate home selling toolkit, the photo checklist is pages 34 to 37. So we'll make sure you have access to both. So you're going to be super covered on this. Okay, so you were not using any special lighting. That's good. Okay, so I've got my camera. I've got my $30 tripod from Amazon, and I've opened all the shades and the blinds, and I've gone to YouTube and probably learned a few things. But as far as the rest of the setup goes, anything else before we dive into actually taking the photos?
Declutter. That's the biggest thing. Just get rid of everything. I guess I can't really tell the agents or the sellers what to do with their house, but just depersonalize the house, get rid of pictures. You don't really want family pictures online. Everyone's seeing all your family members and everything. And there's times we've done like houses with big murals and portraits of family members, and they won't take it down. They just asked us to just edit it out, and we can Photoshop it out, just put the same color wall behind it. So we could do that, but it just takes more work and time.
Dead relative photos. Yeah. The dead relative portraits, or the shrine too.
Right.
I mean, we love them all, but the problem with that, at least from where we sit, is that part of the showing is for me to go there as a buyer and picture myself living there. And if I'm walking through a life-size scrapbook of your life because I've got your photos and your memories everywhere, it is very difficult for me to make that connection that this could be my space. And the problem is that real estate decisions, especially for the place you live, the place you're going to call home, they're highly emotional. They're not logical. If they were, we wouldn't need showings. I could just tell you all the features of the house, and you'd pick the one that you need to check the box and go. I wouldn't even never need to see it. But as it is, we have to go there. We have to emotionally connect in most cases, unless we're under the gun for some reason. But you're right. Get some of that stuff out of there. Is there a good time of day if I'm going to do this? You said cloudy days are best. Is that true for the inside as well, or?
Yeah, for the inside as well, because you'll get the bad shadows as well that are coming through the glass doors and windows. Mm-hmm. So cloudy days are best. If it's not a cloudy day, we like to shoot around like 10 to 2 in the afternoon, because the sun's already pretty high up. So you won't really get those shadows from inside the house. And yeah, that's basically it.
Okay. And then your checklist kind of walks them through which rooms to do and so forth, right?
Right. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. And chest high, and here we go. So if I'm in a room for funsies, let's just say I'm in a bedroom, because it's pretty easy for everybody to kind of wrap their mind around. I walk in, there's a door. Of course, I've got the bed. I've probably got a window, and I've probably got a closet door somewhere. Mm-hmm. So where am I setting my little tripod to take the 1 or 2 or 3 photos of the bedroom?
Right. So I like to like the entry doorway, we'll do one photo there, and that's usually showing the bed. And then I don't know if the closet's on the other side, and then usually just directly across, so then you can see the other way of where the door is, and I like all of that.
Perfect. Okay,
Yeah,
so one right inside the door and then kind of go get the other angle. And then if there's some really
right.
cool feature that would require a third shot, like a
Yeah,
sitting area or maybe
right,
access to the master bath that's sprawling or something like that. Okay,
right. Yeah,
got you. Oh yeah, another pet peeve, toilet lids.
keep them
First of all,
down.
I just
Yeah,
hate toilet pictures in general. I just think they're ridiculous. So I mean, unless that thing is gold and has, turbocharged handles or something on it, I cannot see a reason why you would take a picture of a toilet. Help me out here.
right. That's what we just hired another photographer in Cleveland, and I was walking with him and just telling him like everyone knows what a toilet looks like. You don't really need to take a picture of a toilet. They all look exactly the same. So just kind of focus on more of the vanity and countertop sink and shower area. Don't really focus on the toilet. And then there's
Yeah.
some bathrooms that are coffin size. You can barely get in, kind of like an airplane bathroom. So yeah, so there's really no need to focus on the toilet. Just focus on the sinks, showers, and all of that kind of stuff.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't. I mean, the little half bath you're talking about, like
Right,
off the
right,
hallway when you first walk in. Yeah, I mean, it's fine if you want to get it, but like you said, let's focus on something other than the stupid toilet.
right,
I hate those pictures.
right. And then there's
So,
some sellers and agents that are very annoying. So we just try to get everything that we possibly can, just because there will be some that want us to come back and they want that half bath with the toilet. So
I have
can't
another
please
slogan.
everyone.
I have another phrase for that. You want to hear it?
Let's hear
We advise, you decide. So you're right. It's their
it.
house, and at the end of the day, assuming it doesn't fly in the face of some rule like the FAA 107 or the MLS rules, we're going to roll with it. So I mean,
Yep.
I stopped arguing with sellers a long, long time ago. We tell them what we
Yeah.
think, and then we shut up. That's really the
Yep.
way to handle it. So you're right. You do need to shoot every space, including the stupid toilets, just
Yeah.
in case. Good
Right.
deal. As far as, I mean, the big, like, the question we probably get, or I would imagine you do as well, is how do you make maybe as a room that's not very big look maybe a little less shoebox-ish? Like, how do you make it look bigger without actually editing it out and doing something, unethical?
Shoot it lower. You can do that. So if you're shooting higher up, just bring the
Mhm.
tripod down a little lower. Remove all the clutter. Like I know we talked about that a little earlier.
Let's keep talking about
Uh,
it. You can't talk about that enough. Anyway,
right. So
remove all the clutter. So if I'm
just
lowering the
get
tripod, how far down am I going?
maybe another foot, not anything more, but
Okay.
just because it'll widen things more the lower that you go.
Do I angle it up at all, or do
No,
I
no, you
keep
still
it still
you
like
still want to
shooting
keep it
forward?
level. Yeah,
Okay.
you still want to keep it level with everything.
All right, good deal. Now, as far as the order, you probably leave that up to the end, but if it was your house and you had to pick the order of the photos, are you like, do you get emotional about this process or don't really have any strong feelings about the order? Meaning, we have to start with the outside front photo. The MLS doesn't care after that. What do you
Right.
say?
I would probably start with the most important spaces. So a kitchen, a living room, like I maybe a master bedroom, but I don't really care about all those tiny bedrooms that are office spaces that no one really cares about. If it's a good backyard, show off the backyard, pool, and all of that. I think just to highlight the really important spaces that everyone's going to be living in and showing off.
Yeah. Yeah, we see it as kind of like the property description is I want to paint a picture. Like the listing clearly is going to have some analytical data, bedrooms, square footage, bathrooms, whether or not it has a basement, how big is the yard, is it fenced? All that stuff's contained. And frankly, most savvy buyers are filtering a lot of the stuff out anyway. Like, don't show me a house that doesn't have this much land or that doesn't have this many bedrooms. And so you don't need to keep telling them that. Like it drives me
Right.
crazy. And so the same with all of some of these photos that we get that just don't, I like to your point, I don't need to see all this. What I need to see is something that's going to move me. And if I can picture myself on that patio, with that fire pit and the built-in grill with the stone counter next, like now you're getting my attention. And you
Right.
can tell me that stuff, or you can show me that stuff. And that stuff is really, really important. That's what's going to get me going. The kitchen. If the kitchen's not a sexy kitchen, if it's a little galley kitchen and it hasn't been updated, give me my 2 or 3 shots because I'm going to want to know. But let's not dwell on it.
Right.
So I'm with you. I think it depends what the house is giving you, but you only have so many photos to get their attention. Because if you
Yeah.
give them 12 of the outside and it's just more angles of the same thing, you may lose them before they get to the wow features on the
Right.
inside.
They're gonna most I think also most people are looking at the houses on their phone. They're swiping through at night on their
They are.
couch. So I think if you don't wow them in the first five, six pictures, they're going on to the next house and you've lost that. So
Yes,
I think the order really matters.
it does.
Hey, friends, this episode of Talking Realty is brought to you by Martin Photography and Real Estate Media. Are you ready to make your listing stand out? At Martin Photography Real Estate Media, they provide high-quality photography, including videography, drone footage, and virtual tours that captivate buyers and help you find someone that much faster. Serving Northern Ohio and the Orlando, Dayton Beach, Florida area, their FAA certified team makes sure you get top-tier service and a seamless experience. Try out their new friendly mobile app, Martin Photography, where you can book your session, view photos, and more. Book your shoot today at martinphotography.pro. Check the show notes for that info and make your listing shine. All right, back to the show.
Okay, so let's talk about editing real quick. Aside from the ethical stuff that we talked about and some of the things that you do, let's pretend now it's me. I'm DIYing this. And is there anything I can do either on my phone, or is there any software that's maybe free or low cost that I could go out and touch up the photos that I do take?
Yeah, so I believe there is a free version of Photoshop and Lightroom that you can get on, I know at least on your iPhones. I think the one on the computers, there might be a monthly subscription. So even if you want to pay that, it might be $5 a month. If you just want to pay that $5 just to use it for that 1 month and then get rid of the subscription. So you can get stuff like that, just general, like, and you can have different, I know they have different presets you can use. So you just lay the photo over it and it kind of edits it automatically.
Okay, so low learning curve then. This is
Right.
very important for me. And you said it's called Lightroom. Is that two words? Like Lightroom?
Yeah. So it's by Adobe.
Okay.
It's called Photoshop, and then the other one's called Lightroom.
Photoshop I've heard of. I'll tell you what,
Yes.
I will look for this and see if we can't link to something like this in the show notes. If it exists, maybe Lucas is making stuff up. It could happen. It's been known to happen. If you're on YouTube, you see him giving me that look like maybe, I don't know, maybe. So do you guys mess with virtual staging at all where we've got a vacant house, but they want to show that it could be lived in, so they Photoshop in a couch or a dining table? Do you do that kind of stuff?
We do, and it's really cool. I love working or seeing at least seeing the before and after of those pictures. A lot of it are new builds that we do just because the house is completely empty and they want to show like high-end furniture inside the house. So we did one like in the Beechwood area. They just built this brand new house, and you're not doing it for every picture because it costs a lot of money to do. So we start at $40 a photo for the virtual staging. And the more you buy, the cheaper it gets. I think it might go down to $20 a photo. But yeah, it's really cool. And like you can Photoshop, like we did it like an office space. We did the kitchen area and the living room and a bedroom, and it's really cool. I like it.
Sounds like it. So, do you label them as virtually staged per MLS regulations, or do you rely on the realtors to do that?
We rely on the realtor.
Okay, because we have to spot them when they come in, because sometimes our sellers send us photos that they hired independently of us, and sometimes sellers take them themselves. But we've got some pretty
Right.
savvy sellers that do a lot with this. Or if they, I've got sellers that sell 15, 20 homes a year because they're builders or they're rehabbers. So they tend to have people on staff that can do all this stuff for them. But it is a requirement, sellers, if you're listening, that if you virtually stage a property or you AI stage a property, that you must label it. It has to be in like white or black letters and large enough to read.
Right.
Otherwise, it's a fine. So anyway, what about AI staging? Can you just tell Chat GPT to put some furniture in your room and you hit a button? Is that easy?
So I know it's getting more and more popular. I've never actually tried it.
I
I think
have.
one of
It's
our
terrible.
is it? Yeah, I think one of our
It's
photographers tried it and it wasn't really that good. I think eventually, maybe in another 5 years, I think it could be really good. Like I've always said, like I think already our drones are very good. I can't imagine what they're going to do in another 5 years. So I think it's just going to take time. But right now, I think we're just in the really beginning stages of AI, and we still use it almost every day with different
we're
stuff we
seeing
use, but
some.
not. Yeah,
Because I'm sure if you look at enough AI generated photos as we have done, you can start to spot stuff. Shadows are
right.
wrong, or It'll have a stack of books on the table, and the titles are gibberish. Like no human would take the time to write the gibberish title. They would either write a real title or leave it blank. It's just got this
Right,
weird gibberish bunch of letters, some Cyrillic thrown in there. Like it's just this weird. So you know
right,
immediately that we're dealing with an AI generated. So clearly it's out there
right.
and someone can do it. So hats off to him. But folks,
Well, I think it's a lot cheaper. So that's why some people do it, just
sure.
because I don't know, is it $5? I have no idea, but
It might be, but
um,
honestly, having it done the right way versus having it done the cheap way. In this case, the technology is not quite there because look, I'm an old man, and if I can spot that it's AI generated, trust me, the rest
right,
of the world, even if they don't know what's wrong with it, they know something is wrong. And
right,
that, truth number four, buyers look for reasons not to buy. Like
right,
as we're out here scanning the hundreds of homes we could buy, what's the game? The game isn't finding the one. The game is finding the last one, the one that can't give you any reason to or big enough to eliminate it from the list. The minute you pull
yep,
up to a house, the minute you look at the photos, the minute you read the description and you see something in there that's a deal breaker, you've eliminated it. You're not emotionally invested. And why would you do that with the photos, i.e., the first showing, by putting up some garbagey AI generated stuff that's clearly just going to send up red flags? And I
yep.
may be overstating it, but I promise you, there are enough guys like me out there who are going to look at that and go, something's wrong. I'm out. Like I don't want to be a sucker, so forget it. I'm moving
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Okay. Well, good. Thanks for letting me get that out. I appreciate that. This is really just a
Hmm.
vehicle for me to rant, in case you're wondering how this whole thing works. So, as a little bonus for my listeners who've made it this far, you mentioned earlier about doing video and doing some things on social media. Do you have kind of like a breakdown template of like, if I'm a DIYer, I've done my own photos, now I want to sort of up my marketing game a little bit. What kind of simple stuff can I do on social media that would maybe get some attention?
So I think like we talked about, the social media reels, those are really popular and taking off right now.
These are short
Facebook,
videos, right?
yeah, the short videos. I'm not sure. They might have to be under 60 seconds. I'm not 100% sure how Instagram does it. Um,
Said Tasia, who is our social media guru, said I think TikTok goes to 5 minutes, Instagram goes to three. I
goes to
don't
three
know what
minutes.
Facebook does. So yeah,
Okay.
but anyway,
Okay.
whatever
So
the
three
limits are, and they're
minutes.
probably going to be different by the time this thing goes to air. But anyway, go ahead.
Right, right. It's always changing. So Insta, I know at least they're optimizing the social media reels right now. Any reel that's posted, and they're pushing those more out than standard just photos or a video that you post. There's also this button on there. It's a new trial button I was shown a couple weeks ago where you can click the button. Let me find it on Instagram, but it basically it'll push that video out to new people that you don't follow. And then after I think 24 or 48 hours, then it'll show it to the people that you follow. So let me just I'm going to do a
Is it
test
like a
video and just see
boost?
what, yeah, but it's free. You don't have to pay for it. Oh, it's right here. So it's called, I don't know if it'll show up, but it's like this trial and it says new. So you just push
Okay.
the trial button and I believe, so it says, yeah, so it'll like show for 24 or 48 hours to new audiences, and then it'll show to like people that you actively engage and follow with. So we've used that and seen a lot of new agents that we're connecting with.
Well, I know, I mean, you and I connected on social media a few weeks ago, and I know that my feed is littered with Martin photography. So whatever you're doing is working. I'll give you that. And it's
Thank
good
you.
stuff. I mean, it's fun to look at, and I'm kind of a junkie for houses anyway. So I'm
Right.
always like, even if it's just features of a house or how you shot it or whatever, it's always interesting to me. So okay, so you
Right.
could do short video. That's excellent. And pretty much every platform now has some version. I mean, TikTok has always been that way, but
Right.
Instagram, Reels, and YouTube Shorts, and I don't know what Facebook calls them. So any of those are all good.
Yeah, they all work.
Excellent.
And like, we mainly do Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn.
Oh yeah,
Um,
LinkedIn. Another good shot. Yeah,
we we
definitely.
we've started on TikTok, but honestly, most agents are not always on TikTok. There's some, and then obviously the state of TikTok, who knows right now what's going to happen.
Well,
So,
and honestly, for sellers, doing this yourself, you're probably good at one or two platforms. So stick with
right,
what you know, because odds are your demographic is also very good at that. And not that you
right,
just want to sell inside your demographic, but you do what you know. And, yes, you probably could go to YouTube and learn how to do all of this stuff yourself. It's just a matter of, how motivated you are to get into it. But one other thing, as far as bonus talking points, you mentioned the drone stuff. A lot of people have drones. Are these, I mean, clearly you probably have something that's not quite the average run-of-the-mill drone for doing what you do. But let's say this is what we have, I bought my kid a drone for Christmas 2 years ago. Is this something I can use, or is that not, don't bother?
I think if it has a good camera, I don't know like what the average drone camera is. I don't know how good they are, so I
But
don't
if it
really know
looks
how to
good,
answer.
like if I take the picture and I can tell what it is and it's not,
Yeah,
blurry or
yeah,
grainy. Okay, what am
yeah.
I shooting then? If I've got my drone, I'm standing in my yard or wherever I'm standing to do this, what are my shots here that I really want to have?
So we like to do. So it's kind of like say the house is you'd want to go like right over the house, kind of looking down on it, angle. Do that, and then we like to go further out. You can go up to 400 feet with your Part 107, and you can. We like to just do all cardinal directions around the house, so then you can and kind of have the house in the middle and just go all around. So you can show all the, I guess, the features. So I know in Florida at least, we do a lot of houses that are really close to the water. So you're showing off the ocean and how close the ocean is to that property. We do a lot of condos that are right on the Atlantic Ocean. And then even in Cleveland, like how close you are to downtown Cleveland and the downtown area. So just showing proximity to where you are in relation to that house.
Super cool. Okay. What about last thing here before we move on is 3D tours, virtual floor plans. What are you seeing out there in the world? I know there's pretty cool developments, but is this something a lot of people are asking for?
So we use a software called QB Casa, and
Yeah, we've
they
we've talked about it on the show before. I'll link to it again, but yeah, that's legit.
it's amazing. I love it. So we use them, and we give agents, or I guess anyone who books with us, a free floor plan on every listing that we do. So it shows off. It's a basic floor plan, so it'll show the dimensions of every room and the layout. It won't show. You can upgrade the floor plan if you'd like, and it'll show all the fixed furniture and everything like that. So you kind of get a better idea of where the toilet is, the countertops, and all that other different features, the couches. And then there's like a 3D virtual floor plan as well, where it's like a colored version that really it's like an overhead of the actual house, which is really cool. I really like it.
I I talked about this on
Hello.
another. I think I talked about this on another episode. Jamie Owen, who is an appraiser that was on, I don't know, a couple months ago. He's the one that introduced me to it, and then I did it for my house in Puerto Rico. And it's got like some outdoor space because it's warm weather, kind of like where you are. It's warm weather year
Uh-huh.
round. So I've got like several patios and a balcony, and I did them all. And this thing was freaking scary accurate when I got it back as far as the floor
It's so
plan it
good.
drew for my house. I've got some weird rooms. This is a 100-year-old house, roughly. It's been added onto over and over the years. And so it's got some kind of weird, quirky little rooms. It caught all of it. I was
It's so
stunned.
good.
And I am clearly a novice because I did exactly what it told me to do. You can download it for free from the App
Yeah.
Store or from the Play Store, and then they'll do this work for you for free. Yeah,
Yeah.
big
So yeah,
deal.
I definitely recommend downloading that because that really shows the seller or the buyer, sorry, really the layout of the house,
Yeah.
I think.
And honestly, it stops a lot of weird questions too. It answers some, and it may be like they could start to plan out, especially if kids or you work from home, you're going to need to get creative with that space. So
Yeah.
between that and the photos and the description, you could paint a really great picture of why they should get off the couch and come look at this house. All right.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
so Lucas, I'll link to I've got all your social contact, but do you have a favorite way if people want to reach out, say hello, maybe talk to you about maybe doing some work for them? What's your favorite platform?
Instagram is best. I'm always on Instagram and have both phones on me. So it's Martin Photography RE on Instagram. So just message on there and that's the best way. Yeah. So just any questions or if you need help with, I guess, shooting tips or
Yeah. Or maybe they
gear
want to hire
or
you. They might want to hire you. What's up with
yeah, of
that?
course.
Or do you only
Yes.
work with realtors? Will you work for the public?
No. Yeah, we will. Yeah, we
Oh,
work with
okay,
anyone.
good. As long as their money works, everything's good.
That's right. As long as they pay.
Okay, and that
Um,
is your checklist I have, so I will link to that in the show notes as well. Is there
and
anything
then
else you'd like to tell me? Yeah.
Yeah, just one more thing. We recently launched an app on the App Store. So it's called Martin Photography as well. And you can book directly through the app. So it's pretty simple. You just book through the app. You can see all your media on there, pay on there, and you can message us on there. So
as a customer, I would be able to book you. Then when your photos are ready to look at, I can look at them in the app.
Yes, you can download them to your phone through the app.
Look at you guys. Well, look, with that, I will let you get back to your gorgeous Hawaiian day, and I will do the same. Lukas, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, and I can't wait to talk to you again. Take care of yourself.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Glenn.
Thanks for sticking around. Hopefully you enjoyed my conversation with Lukas Martin as much as I did. I know I learned a lot and will actually be updating our photography checklist because of this conversation. I love learning from experts. The Talking Realty podcast is brought to you by the Ohio Property Group, a family-owned company where we sell homes for a low flat fee instead of a giant 6% commission. Do you have a question, a topic, or a guest you'd like to see and hear on this show? Head to talkingrealty.com and say hello. Until next time, keep making smart moves in your real estate journey. For the Ohio Property Group, this is Glen Whitten signing off, and remember, you can sell it. We can help.